welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we've got the top 11 most played games over the first year of Board Online, Board Offline. Why top 11 instead of top 10? Well, because 11's better than 10, obviously. Everybody knows that. So a couple of quick notes before we get started. When I say over the first year, the year for Board Online, Board Offline runs from July 23rd to July 22nd. So my first video went up on July 23rd of 2014. So from that point on, I'm tracking all the games that I played during that time frame there. Also, you won't find any expansions on here, only because when I track my games on BGG, I track based off of a base set, and I don't really keep specific track of which expansions I used when, but most of the time I use whatever expansions I have, so there you go. Before we get started, a few honorable mentions that would have made the list if maybe I had the game longer or the game didn't take so long. First one's going to be Spectre Ops. I actually got my first play of this game in the day before the end of that year period I just told you about. If I had this game longer, I certainly think it would have made the top 11. No doubt about that. This is, of course, by Emerson Matsuuchi and Plaid Hat Games and Nazca Games. King of Tokyo, designed by Richard Garfield, published by Yellow Games. I think this one probably would have gotten a few more plays. I got it a month out from when the end of the year started, or when the end of the year came, but still only got one play in. I'm hoping to get a lot more plays of this one in throughout the next year. Small World came in at number 15, so just under the cut, but I'm hoping to get a few more plays in this year than I did the past year. This is one of my favorite games. For whatever reason, I've had a hard time getting it to the table, but really like this game a lot. Hope I can get it to the table more often in the next year. Again, Small World coming in at 15, not quite on the list. Mansions of Madness didn't quite make it either. This one is absolutely because the play time and the setup time involved. More setup time than play time, really. This is by Corey Kadiska and Fantasy Flight Games, and definitely want to play this game more. It's a shame that it's not being supported anymore, but the scenarios I've got are enough to keep me coming back. Just got to find the time. This was difficult. And Wrath of Ashardalon is the last honorable mention. This one almost made it. If I played it one more time throughout the year, it would have. I think this next year it definitely will, because I've actually started going through the campaign or each scenario solo and trying to work my way all the way through the scenario book. So this upcoming year, I think it's got a good shot, but this year didn't quite make the cut. Okay, so number 11. This has 5 plays over the past year. It's got an all-time rank of 7th place as far as my all-time most played games. Now, this is by Steve Jackson Games, designed by Steve Jackson, and it's actually ranked 1308 on Boardgame Geek. Basically, it's a real simple dice rolling game. You grab 3 out, and you roll 3, you see what you get. If you get shotgun blast, you're dead, or the people run away because you're the zombies in zombie dice. And of course, you're trying to eat brains. Real simple game. It's a game you can play easily when you have a few beers with some buddies, or you got a little bit of time to kill before you start the real game, or what have you. So, Zombie Dice by Steve Jackson Games. I highly recommend you have this on hand just as a time killer, or a filler, or what have you. It's super easy to travel with. Anybody can understand the rules. Very, very fun to play, especially with people that don't normally play games. They can get into it real fast, and you get a couple of games in real quick. Next, coming in number 10, we've got Viticulture, the strategic winemaking game. It's by Jamie Stagmeyer and Alan Stone, and was published by Stonemeyer Games. It is ranked currently on BGG at 131, and it is the only real worker placement game I have. I really enjoy it a lot. I got 5 plays in over the past year, and it has an all-time rank of 11 in my all-time played games list. And I really enjoy this game a lot. This is one that I definitely have not gotten on the table as much as I wanted to. and I'm not sure. I just can't get people into the theme, I guess, is what it is. But this game is so much fun. You know, you got your workers, and you got summer, and you got winter, and you're placing them to basically grow grapes. You know, and you move along this this player board you've got here, and you mash your grapes here, and you age your wine here, and you got all these different stations that you can do different things at when you're playing the game. You've got visitors that come in during the summer or winter, and they have all kinds of effects on the game, and you get different kinds of wine here, and you complete wine orders by bringing the wine down to the docks down here. This game has really got a lot of interesting choices. It can get real cutthroat if you really start adding the player count, especially, even though it does also scale. You only use this space if you have, you know, 2 people, and then 3 to 4 here, and 5 to 6 lets you use all 3 spaces. So Viticulture, the strategic winemaking game, be sure to check out. Oh, the one thing I will say, this cardboard money is good for what it is, but there is some fantastic metal money that I still haven't gotten my hands on in the Tuscany expansion, so check that out if you get this game. Okay, next up, coming in at number 9, I've got the Resistance. Now, obviously, I have the first edition. There's not really any differences between this edition and the second edition, other than certain things have been changed aesthetically, basically, is what it is. Slightly different components. This is a really fun social deduction game. I've only ever gotten to play with the minimum player count of 5. I really want to get some plays in with more people. I got 6 plays in over the past year, which puts it at 9 in my all-time play rank. Now, this is designed by Don Eskridge and published by Indie Cards and Games, and it has a Board Game Geek rank of 86 overall. It's also the highest party game on my list at a rank of 8. Real fun game. It takes place over 5 missions, and every mission you go on, you choose a certain number of people based on what the game tells you, and that's going to be different depending on the player count. Then on the mission, well, first you vote to see if everybody approves of those people going on the mission, and then when you're on the mission, those players that are going actually determine whether or not the mission succeeds. So this goes on for 5 rounds, unless, of course, one of the sides gets 3 wins in prior to 5. Most of the time that I've played, you've gone all the way to the 5th round, and then either the blue or the red wins. Actually, in my plays, in the 6 plays I've played so far, the good guys have not figured out how to win. It's always been the traitors that win. Not sure what that means. Could be that in the 5-player game, the traitors just have a significant advantage. Okay, coming in at number 8, we've got Star Wars Imperial Assault. This one certainly would have ranked higher if I had gotten it earlier. We got the first play of this one in on May 28th, so that's, just about 2 months out from the end of the year for the channel. And the designers, this is designed by Justin Kempanen, I apologize if I'm butchering your name, Corey Knitska, and Jonathan Ying, published by Fantasy Flight Games. And it is ranked 15th on Board Game Geek, which is the highest game on my list. It's also the second, it's ranked 2nd on the thematic games on Board Game Geek, which is also the highest thematic game on my list. Or the highest game that's ranked on their thematic list, I should say. This game is so much fun. I've only played a skirmish mission once. I really want to get more into those. The campaign has been a lot of fun. I've been playing a couple different campaigns, and the campaign is branching. You know, the heroes and the villains both level up at different rates based on if they win or lose the campaign mission. But whether you win or lose, you still move on to the next mission, which is also great, instead of having to replay a mission over and over and over again during the campaign. I think that allows for a little bit more interesting choices in the campaign missions by the designers, because they don't have to worry quite so much that every mission is completely balanced for each side, because if you win or lose, you still move on. You've got all these great miniatures. Obviously, there's tons of expansion miniatures such as Han Solo. You get a token for him if you buy the game, or you can then purchase a miniature for him with some extra stuff such as extra skirmish missions and extra side missions and that sort of thing. A lot of fun. Yeah, I'm actually currently in the middle of my series on this right now. A rules video will be the next thing that happens after this top 11 list. Next up is Timeline Discoveries. I got 9 plays in for this one, which gives it an all-time play rank of 6. Basically, real simple. You're creating a timeline with these cards. You've got some cards in front of you, and you decide if you think where along the timeline this one's going to go. The invention of Texas Hold'em poker. I'm going to say that happens after the discovery of vanilla by Europeans, but before the discovery of the first Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton. And I'm wrong. It happened in 1925. It goes after the Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton. And the way it normally would work is you then discard that when you draw a new one. And your goal is to run out of cards. Super simple. I have the Discoveries version. There's a bajillion different versions of this game, and they're all mix and matchable. So an educational game to some extent, helps children kind of get a grasp. Now, granted, this one is not particularly best for children because a lot of it, Discovery stuff is stuff that I haven't even heard of sometimes. But they make one for inventions. There's American history, American pop culture, there are all kinds of versions of Timeline. Designed by Frederick Henry and published by Asmodee Games, ranks 879 on Boardgames. Next up we've got Rampage, or as it's now known, Terror in Meeple City. That's what you get for using a video game license you don't have the license for. Played this 10 times over the past year, which brings it in at number 6, and in my all-time rank, it is number 4. Designed by Antoine Bauza and Ludovic Montblanc, and this game ranks 403 on BGG. Now, this game, obviously I don't have the whole board set up, but basically, you got a monster, you hold him up over a building, and unsuccessfully in that case knock it down, but you can see, there you go. That's more like what happens usually. You got lots of different ways to do that. There's vehicles that you can flick and throw into buildings. You can attack other monsters. You got power cards you can use, and really the game's just a lot of fun. My number 5 game on the list I no longer have a copy of. It's The Lord of the Rings, the card game. I played it 14 times over the past year, and that brings it in at my all-time rank of 5th, and it's designed by Nate French, published by Fantasy Flight Games. It's the highest-ranking customizable game on my list at number 6 on BGG, and its BGG overall rank is 74. But I enjoyed the game. If you watch my review, you'll see what I think about the game. But basically, I enjoyed the game itself. I thought there was a lot of really cool things in the gameplay and the way it worked. However, the base set itself was designed with a paywall. It was designed to try to force you to purchase more copies of the game as far as expansions, and because it's a living card game. And I understand that living card games you're supposed to buy more, but I would like it to feel like a choice, not like you're being forced to in order to beat the base game. So for that reason, I got rid of it. Didn't hold on to it, but I did play it 14 times. Got it all the way up to 5th in my most played games for the past year. Coming in at number 4 of my top games played over the past year, I've got Thunderstone Advance. Now my copy you see right here is Thunderstone Advance Worlds Collide. I also have Thunderstone Advance Numenera, which is mixed in here. I don't have Towers of Ruin because by the time I decided to start collecting this game, Towers of Ruin was up to about $200 on Amazon, which actually also is why I decided to go in and get into it when I did, because I could see that everything's starting to go out of print. Deck building game. Basically, you got monsters that go across the top of the board here, and that means monsters like the Ancient Ones, and monsters like Automaton, and Abhuman. All these crazy looking, Doom Knight. What are some other ones here? You got dragons as well, a bunch of different types of dragons. And while you're doing this, you're fighting against diseases, and you got heroes that work for you, like this guy, the Strong-Willed, and a dark necromancer like this woman right here. All kinds of really cool heroes. They start out at level 1, the heroes do, and as you gain experience points, you're able to level them up into more powerful versions of themselves, and the level 3 versions are really powerful most of the time. And you buy weapons from the village like the paired swords or the guardian blade here. You can buy items from the village to help you out, like the chieftain's drum or ambrosia, which is one of my absolute favorites that you can buy. You get long spears, torches, spells such as this fear maker right here, and retaliation nodule. And you can even have non-hero villagers help you out, such as this guy right here, the shield bearer. There's so many options. Not only this, but the village cards and the hero cards are random every time, and the monster cards are random every time. So every single game you have a different problem to work out, a different puzzle, a different way of attacking the monsters that will be coming out in the game. And it just really adds so much replay value to the game, being able to do that. You can find scenarios where you put a specific monster together with specific village cards. The Worlds Collide version comes with solo rules, so if you want to play by yourself, or if you just don't have anybody else to play with at the time, you can play solo and kind of try to beat your score type thing. A lot of fun. Really enjoy the game. This one I played 20 times over the past year, and it puts it at an all-time rank of 4 for played games by me. This is designed by Mike Elliott, published by AEG. It only is at 751. And granted, I didn't look to see where Towers of Ruin was at. This is Worlds Collide because I don't have Towers of Ruin. And that being the original base set might be higher. But Worlds Collide is at 751. It's got a strategy ranking of 385. I just think this game should be so much higher than that. It's so enjoyable, so much fun, so much variety every time you play. Coming in at number 3, we've got Dead of Winter. Without a doubt, one of my favorite games of all time. It's currently the highest rated game as far as games that I've reviewed. I've ranked this one higher than all the others in terms of my reviews. I played this one 24 times over the past year, which brings it in at number 3 for this list, as well as number 3 for my all-time played list. It's ranked 18 overall on BGG, and it's designed by Jonathan Gilmour and Isaac Vega, published by Plaid Hat Games. This game has so much tension. The game itself is difficult, and then it's got a trader as well. You have a main objective that everybody's trying to complete, unless you're the trader, and then everybody has their own secret objectives that are handed out as well. When you're playing, you take characters like the nurse or the principal, farmer, ninja, waitress. You take them and you have to move to other locations, such as the gas station, hospital, library, school, grocery store, police station. When you move, you have to roll this die. If you get that symbol right there, you get wounded. 3 wounds, you're dead. If you get this symbol, you can get frostbite, which continues to create more wounds unless you heal yourself somehow. And 1 out of 12 times, you get the tooth, which is instant death. Not only is it instant death, but then you pass because this symbolizes a zombie bite, you turn into a zombie and you then attack somebody else in the area that you're at. So every time somebody dies, morale drops. If morale hits 0, game over. You've got the round tracker over here. If it hits 0, game over. Unless sometimes your whole point is just to survive to the end of the rounds. As you use things, you could find things like medicine and switchblades and lighters, shotguns, all this kind of stuff when you're going around searching. As you use stuff like medicine, you got to put it in the waste pile. If the waste pile's up too high, you lose morale. If you don't, if you don't have enough food in the food supply here, then you starve and you lose morale. You've got this crisis deck that I don't have out right now, but you got a crisis deck right here, and every time, maybe y'all run out of fuel, so everybody needs to provide, donate fuel to the crisis, and you do that face down so that a trader might spike the crisis donations and cause you to fail the crisis, which probably is going to make you lose morale and some other horrible things. You can barricade entrances to help keep zombies away. The more people there are in one location, the more zombies are going to show up at the end of the round. There's just so much going on in this game. It's so much fun, and it's really about the player interaction. The zombies are kind of a backdrop for this whole thing. Obviously, they're a huge threat, but really what it's about is the backdrop. And you know what? The coolest thing about this game is the Crossroad deck, which is a deck of cards where if I'm playing, then the person to my right, the last player to have gone, is looking at this Crossroad card, and it's got a little situation. And if I fulfill that situation, I won't know what it is. It might say, if you move one of your survivors to the hospital. If I fulfill that situation and the game stops, that player reads the card and I have some sort of choice to make. Oftentimes it can be a difficult choice. Sometimes it's pretty easy. It just adds so much to the story of the game and is one of the coolest features. Soon Plaid Hat Games is coming out with an app that's going to be constantly updated, is what they say, with new Crossroad cards. And the app will read it to you. So we'll see how that goes. But until then, number 3 on my list of top played games of the past year, Dead of Winter. Check it out. Number 2 for the year, Pandemic. Now, we played this one 24 times over the past year. It brings its all-time play rank up to number 2 with 39 plays all-time. This is designed by Matt Leacock, published by Z-Man Games. It's ranked number 41 overall on BGG and is the top family game, ranked at number 4 on my list. This game, basically, this is only one, it's a yellow. You got 4 different color diseases that are going to be spread out around the board based on a random setup every game. And as you're playing, you draw these player cards that are going to represent different cities on the board, such as this is Karachi right here. And these cards are used for multiple things. One, you can discard a card, in that case Karachi, and fly to Karachi to do whatever it is you need to do. Or, if I'm in Karachi and I have it, I can discard and fly anywhere I want to on the board. You also just can, by yourself, move to a nearby city. The other thing you use these cards for is, if you collect 4 of the same color, you have to make it to one of these disease centers, which you can, or research centers, which you can build throughout the board anywhere that you want to by getting your guy there. And once you build that center, you have 4 of one color. You get there, you discard the cards, and you have cured that disease. Or at least you found the cure. Then you have to actually kind of combat it still. Lots of ways to lose this game. If you run out of cubes for a particular color, game over. If this deck runs out, game over. Every time you get more than 3 diseases in a city, it's called having an outbreak, and the outbreak tracker will start counting. And if you get down to 8 outbreaks, game over. The only way to win, find the cure for all 4 diseases. And on top of that, you got lots of roles. You've got the scientist, the medic, the virologist, the local liaison. Now, some of these came with the In the Lab expansion, which I have as well, and I really love that expansion. I highly recommend you get that. I don't have any other expansions, just In the Lab, and because I feel that adds so much theme to the game. I want to try the other expansions, but I haven't gotten around to it. In the Lab is great. You don't need to have On the Brink to get In the Lab, even though there are a few components in the Lab that you won't be able to use, but that's fine. It's not the main bulk of the expansion. This game is so much fun. Every time it's a challenge. We'll beat it one time, and the next time we'll get completely stomped. If you play it on the hardest difficulty level, if you put in the 6 epidemics, it is going to be a struggle every time. But you can scale it back down to 4 epidemics, and it's not quite so bad. And you feel like you're doing pretty good the whole time. Might not win every time, but you got a better shot. So, scalable game. It's got a theme that I think most people can get into. For the most part, with one exception that I can think of very specifically, Every time I've introduced this game to somebody, they've really enjoyed it. Pandemic, #2 most played game over the past year. And finally, #1, Star Realms. Played this game 44 times over the past year. It's ranked #1 on my all-time playlist. It's designed by Robert Daltrey and Darwin Castle, published by White Wizard Games. This game is absolutely fantastic. I've done a review for Star Realms, I've done a review for the Gambit set, and a review for the Crisis expansions. Check all those out if you want to on my channel. This game, you start with a, like any deck builder, a hand of cards or a deck of cards that are not particularly great. And as you play, you're going to be gaining trade to purchase more cards from the trade row. You purchase a card, you flip the next one over, and you keep going like that. And it's a 2-player game, so you're playing against one other person. And you get the attack here, and you're basically trying to knock down your opponent's authority as you build your armada. This game has some of the coolest artwork in it. I mean, this guy, the missile bot, that guy just looks really awesome. As you can see, I've got, my cards are sleeved for one thing, and I've got both expansions in the deck right there. Normally, your deck's not going to be that big if you just get the base set. So much fun, so enjoyable. It takes like 20 minutes to play a game. There's very little setup and teardown time, so you can play multiple in a row without worrying about the overall time dedication that you're putting into it. If you want a fast 2-player game, you like deck builders, or you think maybe you might like deck builders, give Star Realms a try. It's cheap. I think the base set is what, $15, $20. I'm not sure, but it's somewhere right in that area. It's not much, and considering how much play you get out of it. I mean, 44 plays versus my next closest game, Pandemic, had 24 plays. So I just can't say enough how much fun Star Realms is. Give it a shot. My #1 most played game of the past year, Star Realms. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave any questions or comments for me in the comments section below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. You can find me on BGG, the Baker 1983. You can find me on Twitter at boredonlineboardoffline. I'm on Board Game Blender every other week. And until next time, if you're bored online, board offline.